How's it going? Welcome back to the Black Metal Rebellion. I'm your host, Jesse Morgan, and today we are going to be doing a review, this time on the band called Bray Road, and I'm going to be talking about their new EP called Formation that was released January 26th of this year. It is their second release, as their first album was Feast Upon the Helpless. Now, if you don't know who Bray Road is, they are a kind of like a groovy thrash metal band from Milwaukee, USA, that formed in 2011, kind of, I guess, reformed a little bit, and then came back together in 2016. But yeah, so let's kind of talk about the Formation EP that I've been listening to for the past little bit. The members are as follows. It is Craig Nino Nunez on guitar and vocals, Mike Aschenbrenner on bass, Rob Pearson on guitar, and Peter Cassane on drums. Okay, well, let's start out with the vocals for this, which are very unique. They're this rattly, grunting, kind of low to mid-range style of thrash vocals. Has kind of a barked, shouted delivery, almost hardcore in essence sounding. They're performed, pretty good and consistently. Once again, they're very kind of unique style of vocalings. They are mid to high in the mix, about on par with the guitars. And I felt that they were very fitting with the songs and the way they are presented. More about them later. Now about the guitars. Sorry, they had like a full kind of crunchy tone, thick and warm, kind of like this buzzsaw sound. For sure, there was lots of groovy, like head bangable riffs going on here, meaty, just meaty and hooky riffs, like maybe we can call them meat hook riffs, haha. There's gallops in here, there's some tremolos, some solid power chord styling riffs, there's even some like quick single note fast things going on, there's even some odd death metal style riffs going on, and some palm muted chugs thrown in for good measure. Lots of stuff going on guitar wise and riff wise. The guitarist definitely had no lack of tricks up his sleeve. As for the bass, it was kind of buried in the mix, like under the guitars and the drums and everything. I thought I heard it briefly here and there, in the Ties That Bind, or in the Ten-Faced Human Waste track. But for the most part, I think it could have been turned up a little bit higher. It definitely did add like a thicker low end for this EP though, and for most of the songs. And I think it was mostly just a clean bass. I don't think there was too much distortion on it. So yeah, I didn't really hear it all that much, but the couple of times I did, I kind of got a sense of mostly what it was adding to the album. I would have liked to hear a little bit more what Mike was doing though. As for the drums, they're fairly prominent in the mix. Everything on the kit was heard well. There's a good snare sound, good kick sound, good timing as overall, that Peter had. The fills that were put into use on here were pretty decent. Some really good tom work. There's also what I like, the cool inclusion of like those little like ride and bell tings and clicks and stuff like that. So it was nice to hear that was thrown in there. Nice to know that he was experimenting a little bit with this kit and some sound, not just kind of doing your paint by numbers drumming. It was a very dynamic sound, and the quality level of panning and placement of where in the mix you heard the drums, like you heard some cymbals over this side, you heard some cymbals over this side, you got some like mid-level tom and snare and hi-hat work. Really mixed well. I like the mixing that was done for the drums. Now let's talk about my favorite tracks. My favorite track on this for sure had to be the 10-Faced Human Waste track. Interesting song title. It stood out amongst the rest of the tracks. And it had this really cool, like, bouncy chorus riff for sure. And then the other track that I found really good was the opening track after the intro, that being the self-titled track Formation. It just had this kick-ass, like, groovy intro riff that got you basically headbanging right away, and it set the tone for what the rest of the EP was going to be doing. So, yeah, really enjoyed 10-Faced Human Waste and the Formation track, so tracks 5 and 2. Now, my overall thoughts for this EP is it's going to be, like, definitely fans for people that enjoy Hatebreed, Pantera, and Biohazard. And in fact, the vocalist kind of reminded me a bit of Biohazard in his delivery and the like that, like, low kind of gurgly, thrashy sound he had. So very, very neat, very unique. And once again, like, the band just had a very unique brand of kind of groovy, hardcore influenced thrash. So just be aware that you're going to be in for some, like, a lot of head bobbing, kind of like strutting around style of riffage. This will definitely stand out in your playlist if you have it on with a bunch of other thrash bands. I basically could not stop headbanging and moving around while I was listening to this. It had lots of energy and like I said, has a contagious momentum going on. Needless to say, there's high potential for the future of Bray Road, and the kind of odd allure of darker themes and some werewolf lore surrounding the band's name origin is also kind of interesting and kind of grabs you, and also kind of like sets a tone for the songs and the overall kind of mystique, I guess, to the EP and upcoming song or releases. So yeah, pretty interesting reason why they named it Bray Road, because there's rumors of people seeing, like, anthropomorphic dog-like figures, you know, along the along the sides of the roads or at night or whatever by there. So kind of cool. I like that. I like there being some sort of, like, legend kind of story behind bands. Very, very unique and kind of cool thing to have to your overall allure of your band. Anywho, I am going to give this a 7 out of 10, and that being that the vocals could use some just kind of general improvement. Perhaps also maybe include some variety, some deeper, like even deeper vocals, or even like try to go higher. I found that I had kind of just like this main kind of main pace throughout the album. It didn't really go too low or too high, just kind of had a general mid-tone to the vocals. And I kind of wasn't really a fan of the reoccurring, like, upward inflection on how every kind of other sentence kind of ended like this, like sort of in a question. I don't know. It seemed to kind of get old quick. I don't know if it's just me that would notice something like this, but it's like the way he worded or performed the end of the sentences in some of the verses and choruses seem to end on a question. But other than that, like, the vocals were tolerable. Like, if I had to rate the vocals themselves out of a 1 to 10, it'd probably be a 6.5 or a 7 out of 10. Like, they're still performed consistent throughout the whole album, and they're not, like, terrible. They're not like, oh my god, why are they doing that kind of style of vocals? I can see what the vocalist was doing, and I can see where he's trying to go with it. I think it just needs a little bit more practice and a little bit more power behind it, maybe, and just a little bit of a variety here and there. It's like, go like deeper sometimes, or maybe go higher sometimes. Just something to think about in the future, if you care. If you still want to do what you're doing, be my guest. But that's just kind of my thoughts on this, as a music reviewer and an artist myself. Not that my vocals are amazing by any means, but, you know, just kind of thoughts. And I do, like I say, have this band does have potential. I do see potential for this band, so definitely looking forward to what they do next. And as for the bass, he could have definitely stood to be a few decibels higher. I definitely wanted to hear what Mike was doing more, because I feel as a bass player, they a lot of times get overshadowed by what the guitar and drumming and vocals are doing, and I feel like the bass player could have a moment to shine here or there, even if it's like a quick second where everything stops playing or the guitar stops playing, and just you hear the bass player doing what he does, and see what kind of talent there is behind there, besides just making the whole album sound thicker and lower, and filling in the gaps between the guitar and the drums. So yeah, I think he might have been shortchanged a teeny bit, but other than that, like, pretty decent listen, pretty decent EP. Once again, 7 out of 10. It's a pretty good rating. So hey, yeah. And in other words, I'm Jesse Morgan, and I probably would buy this album. Look forward to what comes next from Bray Road. You guys should definitely check them out. For Glory, for the Rebellion, Slimer out.